Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to the Port Podcasting Studios. Oh, that's not the right title.
Port Podcasting Studios.
Yes, where
nice.
I cannot manage the equipment to record this damn podcast. Either way, welcome back to A Guide to Poor Parenting podcast where me, Jason.
And me, Jennifer.
Have a few drinks.
And talk shit about our kids.
Please follow us on Instagram at Guide to Poor Parenting.
And Twitter/Facebook/TikTok at Poor Parent Pod.
I am super excited. She has been here before. She's been in the Peanut Gallery. So we are joined today by my friend from Shenanigans, my fellow volunteer, Miss Tera. Hi, Tera.
Hi, Tera. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. So how does it feel to be in the hot seat this time?
Very scary.
Is it intimidating to have a microphone in your face?
Well, I want to do bad things to it, but we won't discuss that.
Yeah, she was just discussing fellatio before we got on the
And
air.
on top of that, I get to share my first time with you both, so thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh,
thank
thanks
you for doing
coming.
it with us. This is going to be fun.
You're going to regret it.
No, we're not. Just have some more of your drink and you'll be fine.
And make sure to edit me so I sound like a hot dude.
Yep.
Terrence.
This is Terrence.
Thank you very much.
He's from the south side of Chicago.
I mean, send me somewhere classier.
Was I doing the cocktail or are you doing the cocktail? Jennifer?
I was going to do the cocktail.
Okay, Miss Jennifer. I can't speak today.
Hello.
Hi. What are we drinking today?
We are drinking a New York sour.
Yes, we were trying.
With is the wine floater part of the? Okay.
Yeah.
It's really yummy.
Yeah, it's a whiskey sour with just a little bit of wine sitting on top of it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And it's our favorite bourbon barrel wine. That poor Tera can't have any because she'd have her top off in a minute and.
Yes, I have a histamine reaction to wine, so I get super trashy super fast.
Yeah, and she's already a little trashy, so.
Yes, and we do not need to see that. Thank you.
We'll do it at the end of the podcast.
Yes. No pictures.
No pictures.
No pictures.
We'll have you back when we're on the video, and then you can really show us how trashy you are.
That's how you lose viewers fast.
So, Miss Tera, you and I met each other. Oh gosh, it's been probably like 3 or 3 months now. I think we met at Shenanigans.
Probably longer than that.
It's about January, maybe.
God, has it only been that many months?
I mean,
That's not 2 or 3. That's like 5.
Well, I know I was extending it out, but it's definitely less than a year. I know that.
Definitely. I've been with Shenanigans for about a year and a half-ish now. So somewhere in that time frame we met.
Oh, you know what? I think it was before New Year's because didn't we do when was when the Queens came out from Nashville and did the Hocus Pocus show? What was that one? Do you remember
that was
Anybody
October.
Remember? That was October last year?
Oh, I mean, Hocus Pocus, I would imagine it's around Halloween.
Okay, well, if that was you and your daughter were there.
Yes, we're the mother-daughter duo at Shenanigans.
And y'all were sitting right in front of us while Jennifer and Zay and I were.
Oh, yeah. Stand Up Live.
Yeah.
Yep.
With EJ.
Yep.
And we met
EJ?
before that.
Yeah.
Yep, so that was October, November of what year are we in now? We're 24. So that was 23, so we met before then.
Yeah, so we're going on maybe 8 months. Like we've only started recently, just kind of, like this is the second time we've been to the house and we're starting to hang out a little bit more. So.
Yes, for sure.
So, yeah. How did you get involved with Shenanigans? You remember?
You know what? We had just moved to Huntsville and we were looking for things to do. And we went to a comedy show at Shenanigans and we noticed that they had a free closet and since we had just moved I had tons of clothes to donate and so we reached out to Kim and asked her about donating and realized they had volunteers and asked if they needed help and she signed us up for the volunteer group and we have been volunteering there ever since.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And it's you and your daughter. Is it your middle daughter or your eldest daughter?
She's my only daughter. I have 2 kids.
Oh, okay. You have 2 sons.
I have a son and a daughter.
That's
She's
right.
my oldest. She will be 22 next month.
Oh my gosh.
And then my son turns 20 next week. So I officially have no more teenagers after next week.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to ask what is typically considered a rude question. If you don't want to answer, you feel free to say, fuck you. How old are you?
Fuck you.
Okay.
So I'm glad we established that. I am 42.
Oh, you're a baby.
Wow.
No, I started whoring around young.
Yeah.
Hey, but then now you can be partying it up because the babies are gone. Yeah.
That was always
Taking
the
your
smart
shirt
way to do
off
it.
on a podcast. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes,
Great.
that was always the plan. Have them
Nice.
young. Well, actually, the plan was never to have kids, and never to get married. And then I officially decided I was going to be a a whore and dedicate my life to sleeping around. And that very night, I met what would become my husband, and we've been together ever since. So we got...
Was this at the brothel?
It wasn't. It was at my apartment. Super trashy. But I swear I was listening to JC and that big pimpin' song, and I was like, yep, this is going to be my life from now on. And then I met my husband, and we've been together ever since. And
Well, you can still big pimp and spending cheese all you want.
Well,
You
I
just have
can.
to do
I
it with
just-
the husband.
can only do it with the husband. And after we've been married 22 years and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, we're old.
Since you were 20.
Yes.
So bring us back to when you were 20 years old and you saw... Was he already in the military? Because I know he's in the military.
He was in the military when we met.
And he's
branch.
in Army?
Navy.
Navy.
Submarines.
Okay.
He did submarine.
Oh.
So he knows how to go down. Just kidding.
Oh, wait. So did you say Marine or naval officer?
Navy.
Navy. Oh, okay.
Submarine.
She said submarine.
Oh,
Submarines.
okay. You
So
got
he
a
did
straight one.
submarines.
Good job.
Thank you.
The only
How
one.
to choose them well. Just turn your life over to vodka and choices are made.
So you were at the naval yards and saw him walking off in his whites and was like,
No.
I want that.
So...
No, where did y'all meet?
So a few years prior, when I was at the ripe age of 15 and a half, my girlfriends and I had gotten drunk downtown in
Downtown where?
Victoria, BC. So I was raised in Canada, born and raised
You're
in Canada.
Canadian.
We have Canadian listeners.
Oh,
Yeah,
where?
Hey,
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan.
oh,
I
my
don't
mom
know
was born
why.
there.
We have a bunch of Saskatchewan
Yeah,
listeners.
my mom was born there, but Vancouver Island, so Victoria, BC, was born and raised there. And when I was 15 and a half, doing what teenagers do, me and my girlfriends got drunk and we were downtown and went to McDonald's and cut in front of some boys in line, and they turned out to be sailors, but we didn't know that at the time. So we ended up partying with them, and I dated one of them for several years. And
When you were 15?
well, you know what? I said I was trashy.
Your mother let you do this?
My mother did not know I did
Okay,
that.
good.
I was about to say that's not a
That's something you don't tell your mommy
well
about.
that and it's not uncommon. I was dating the little Marine boys on base when I was like 15.
So when you're 15 and you're a girl and older boys are into you, you think you're really cool.
Yes.
Now I look back and think, what the hell was wrong with them?
Well, I mean, I guess I was performing fellatio
how
like men in the
old
bathroom.
was
So.
your boyfriend at the time?
So he would have been 20, 21 when I met him. So we met him and his friends, and we dated for 3 years or so.
Wow.
Until I graduated and then discovered he was cheating. P.S. I was cheating the whole time. But, it's...
Tara.
Well, I mean,
he's cheating. Like,
You were 15.
and you
I'm
don't
just
see
joking.
them all the time because they're off doing their military stuff.
So then we broke up, and he decided I'd moved in with my girlfriend. We had our very first apartment. He decided he wanted to come as a friend and hang out and see how we were
He
doing.
did come as a friend.
He did come as a friend, but he bring a friend. And I got a little annoyed with the ex-boyfriend because he was, I can't live without you, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to commit suicide. And I was like, stop,
Jesus.
manipulation tactics.
Yeah.
And so then I decided to get extra drunk and make a move on his friend. And his friend liked it, and we've been together ever since.
Oh wow!
Now, how old was friend?
Friend was probably the same age, but I was 19 at the time, so I was legal age in
Okay.
Canada.
So he's about 5-6 years older. Your husband's 5 or 6 years older.
No, he's 44.
So
Oh,
2
it's
years.
A couple of years.
Okay.
He's just a couple of
Oh,
years
well,
older
that's
than me.
not-
Yeah.
okay.
I think she meant
And-
going back to McDonald's.
Yeah, back to
That-
McDonald's is when I was
those
young
years.
and the boyfriend was
Oh, okay.
of age and I was not of age. So, yeah, that was trashy. But at the time, I thought it was really cool that an older guy was into me, and
Oh, we all do.
now I'm like, what the hell was wrong with him? Like pedophile much? But that's okay because he wasn't the youngest. I mean, when I was 15, I also dated my manager,
Oh,
and he was like in his 30s. That
that one right
That
there, I
one's-
wouldn't do that.
that one's-
that is a little.
that one's crossing some lines.
Yeah.
that,
We
as a
have
15
someone in our lives who was dating a 30-year-old at 17, and I was like, oh, that was not a good idea.
Yeah.
Miss
No.
Tara, can you tilt over just a little? There you go. Perfect. There we go.
You don't like my angles.
No, I just want to make sure you're
you
lined
don't
up with the
want my
microphone.
Circus Soleil act over here.
Sorry. Okay, so you're hoeing it out in Vancouver.
I would just like to make it very clear. I had mommy and daddy issues from an abusive childhood. So we all know why we did that now as adults. You realize it, but as a child, you just thought you were cool.
Hey, you know what?
Well, I thought that also, even if you didn't have mommy, daddy, I mean, girls really do think it's cool to date that older guy.
We really
And
do.
it's also because guys don't mature. And so
really
you're
don't.
still technically mental age, probably about the same age.
Yes.
I'm saying this because I did it, and I don't want to feel bad for doing it.
And I don't feel bad for doing it at all.
Not a 30-year-old. I never did 15 and 30 because
you're missing out.
That was no.
And as a gay man, I can tell you that gay men are
Notorious.
Notoriously promiscuous. So like you saying you held it out is probably like a weekend bender for a gay man. So yeah.
I wish I was a gay man right now. You know what? I enjoyed all my behaviors, even though looking back on them, they were, not exactly safe. I enjoy them all because I am where I am now because of the things I did. And I'm an amazing parent because of the things I did. And
you have a husband that you love after 20 years.
I mean, let's not lie.
Yeah.
That's just
that's something to be proud of.
It is. It's
to make your ex jealous. You hooked up with this dude, and you're like, I like you.
We're like you. We're gonna make it.
And then eventually, I love you. Let's have bibis.
Well, we were engaged 2 months after we met.
Wow.
Yeah, we
was
moved.
it because of the military or
no? But it was just we decided that was it, and we would have actually been married longer, but the military, his command, whatever at the time, said, "Dude, you just met this chick. She's probably not going to last one patrol," which is what they called deployments on submarines. So go through a patrol, and if she's still around, do it. I think they thought I was a hoe because
you were.
I was, and they worked together. So ex and new dude worked together. So rumor mill. So I made it through a patrol, and not only did I make it through a patrol, I made it through every patrol ever since, and everything without cheating or doing any bad things. So I earned my well-behaved wife badge.
Woohoo!
Oh,
I know. So you feel special.
How long is a patrol?
For him, it was 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
But I mean, they go down deep and they're under the water, and when we first started, you didn't even get emails or anything. Like I got one email from him because somebody left the boat and bring me a disc, and I had to put the disc in the computer and read the email.
Wow.
Eventually we got to the point where they popped up, they would send an email, but I mean, I did all that on my own, raised 2 kids on my own. We moved around a bit and did all of that by myself, so I toughed it up.
Well, let's go back to, so y'all, after 2 months of dating, he wants to get married.
Yep.
So you're 20 at this point. And when did you...
Almost 20.
Almost 20, okay.
Almost 20.
So was there a big ceremony? Or
No.
Was it
So
a
we
courthouse
got...
thing?
No, we got engaged, and then we celebrated. And by celebrated, I mean we made a baby.
There you go.
We celebrated very hard, many times that weekend.
How you do?
Well, you do what you do. And then I found out I was pregnant, and I said to him, I'm having this baby. You can do it or you cannot, since we were already engaged. And I said, I don't care, because we probably should have been pregnant months before. And then we said, no, we're still getting married. So we had we were just going to go to a courthouse. But then his mom and dad wanted to be there, and my mom and my sister wanted to be there. So we found a priest in the phone book, and she had us come over to her backyard and perform a ceremony. And I didn't know it at the time, because I was always like, I'll marry you for 25 years. And like, well, let's set reasonable goals. 25 years. Like, none of this for life shit, because for life doesn't work out. And so we agreed 25 years, and it will reevaluate after 25 years, and whatever happens, happens. Well, this priest lady, I didn't know, but she makes us say a prayer, and it's like the 9-minute prayer from hell, because it's just going on and on. And all of a sudden she's like, and turn your souls for all eternity. And I'm like, hold up, what? Did you just damn us to hell together? Like, I can't even get away from this guy. So after the ceremony, I was like, did she really? And he's like, yep. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So don't get married in anybody's backyard.
What kind of priest was she?
Yeah. He said she believed he was Mormon, or she was Mormon, but I have no idea, because I don't go to church or nothing. But like, I always thought, death do us part, that's the vows, right? Nope, she said for all eternity. And I'm like, ew.
Oh, yeah, not in those Mormon underwear.
There's nowhere to get out of this one. So we got married, and then after that we had Canna, which is my oldest, my daughter.
What's her name again?
Canna,
Spell
like
that.
Kayanna, like K and then Anna put together. Two different names, because she's named after my best friend at the time, and then a soap opera that used to be on when I was pregnant with her. I really liked the girl's name. It was Kay, but I thought it was too short. It needed more. So I just put K and Anna together, and there's Canna.
Mm.
And then, so she was born, and...
Was he there, or was he on a...
So he was... They actually induced me, so I started getting preeclampsia, and he was supposed to leave like a week. The day she was due, he was supposed to leave. So a week before, they're like, we're probably going to induce you. And I'm like, well, can we hurry up and do this? Because my husband's supposed to leave. So they induced me the next day, and he got to spend 3 days with her before he had to leave.
Oh.
Well, that's good.
Yes, so that was good. It was...
I mean, not for you, because then you have a newborn all
I had
by
a
yourself.
newborn. I was kind of glad he left, because he was a little breastfeeding Nazi. I mean, I get it. Breast is best, la la la. But I mean, my daughter was a bloodsucker, and it hurt, and I was not producing, and she was colicky, and I wanted to formula feed, and the lactation consultant, because they come to your house, was like, go ahead, do it. And he's like, no, breast is best. And I'm like, did you just push this baby out? Are you getting up with her? Are your nipples bleeding? Like, so he left, and I was like, oh, I can put her on the bottle. So as soon as he left, I put her on the bottle.
Did you ever produce anything?
No.
Oh, gosh.
It was the
Some women
strangest
don't.
thing.
Yeah,
I just
I
didn't.
know.
I got like the hard swollen boobs where I thought I was, but nothing ever came out. So I was just like, okay, well, she was going to starve to death, or I did the right thing. And
Yeah, I had a friend who just all she ever produced was colostrum, and just like never any milk.
Nothing happened, and I was like, I wasn't going to feel bad about it, because you got to do what you got to do to feed your baby.
That's right.
But he got to be there for the birth, and I could have killed him for that too.
Why?
Well, so my mom insisted I be there, and because...
Wait, your mom insisted you be there?
She be there for the birth.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said that you be there.
Oh,
Yeah, you're supposed to be
busy.
there.
So my mom insisted she be there for the birth, and there's no arguing with this woman. What she wants, she gets.
Okay.
So you just kind of agree, and I was like, whatever. And then my sister was going to be there, because if my husband wasn't going to be there, she was supposed to film the birth, but only if he wasn't going to be there. Well, obviously the three of them are in the room, and I didn't know it because you're not really paying attention, but they were filming the birth, and I didn't know. So all of a sudden I have my baby, and they're kind of, cleaning her up and talking to me, and everybody's gone. And I'm like, what is going on here? And the nurses are asking me, where'd your husband go? And I'm like, I have no idea. So a couple hours later, he comes back, and I'm like, pissed as fuck.
A couple hours?
Couple hours later.
Yeah, I would be too.
So I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like, well, your mom insisted that we left so that you had time to bond with the baby on your own and deal with the aftercare, the stitching, whatever they're doing. And I was like, so you did what my mom told you to do? And why didn't you tell me? And, we're going off. And he's like, well, I didn't want to upset her. I'm like, fuck it. And so I was like, what did you do for so long? He's like, well, we went home and everybody watched the video. And I'm like, what video? And he goes, the video of you giving birth. And I'm like, what video of me giving birth? And he goes, we recorded it. And I was like, so who recorded it? And he tells me my sister. And I'm like, why did you show everybody? He's like, well, everybody wanted to see what you did. And I'm like, so you put my vagina on display for my whole family without asking me? He's like, it was all side view, and they were really proud of you. And I was like, why were they proud of me? He's like, you didn't scream. And I'm like, I don't scream. I'm like, but I'm about to.
Wow.
So I could have killed him.
Yeah,
and then he's like,
definitely.
and then we went to Subway, and I'm like, and you ate? Because by the time I had her, there was no food delivery left. So I'm alone with a newborn, my first time, starving to death, and my husband showing my video of side view of me having birth for the first time, and I'm like, well, at least I didn't scream. But he did not get any brownie points for that.
No, you listen to wife, not mom.
No,
Or mother-in-law.
So it was my mom.
Yeah.
I know, she's super cunty. Like
okay.
So I had her in Canada. I had my daughter in Canada. My son was born in the States, and mother was not. She
Was there a video of the second one?
Nope.
Oh, good.
It was just me and my husband that time.
There you
And
go.
nobody else. I had learned my lesson.
Left labia being shown off to every pimp.
No, but that was another traumatic experience when I had my son, because the lady in the room that I shared a wall with on the other side, she didn't want to push, and she made it very clear to her doctor she didn't want to push. And I had already had my son, and we were trying to sleep, and you could just hear her yelling, and she's cussing up a storm, and I'm like, good fucking Lord, lady, just push the fucking kid out and shut up. And I'm like...
Was this a military hospital?
Yep.
No.
So then all of a sudden I hear metal banging and stuff's hitting the wall, and I'm like, I want to go home, like, put this kid back in me, we're leaving, like, get me out of here. And finally things quiet down, and I'm waiting, and they move me into the recovery room, and the next morning they move this lady in with me, and we're sharing a room, and she starts talking to me, and I realize she's the chick from last night in the metal flying. And I was like, what happened? Oh my God, are you okay? And she's like, well, the doctor wouldn't listen to me. I didn't want to push anymore. And I was like, okay. She's like, so he got the forceps out, and when he got them out, I ripped them out of his hands, and I was throwing them and kicking the trays. And she insisted she had a C-section, so she got her C-section, and
wow.
I was like, you were ripping forceps out and throwing metal trays, whatever was there, until she got what she wanted. And I was like, yep, we're not having any more kids. Like, this is done.
Wow.
Did you get induced with your son? Or was it just...
Well, no, my water broke. So with my son, I woke up that morning and thought I had to pee. And I was like, I don't think that's pee. And I tried to go back to bed because I was just not in the mood to have a baby. I wanted to sleep. And I was like, wait a minute.
Who is?
I was like, well, something's not right here. I don't know. So I was like, we better go to the hospital and get checked. So I go to the hospital, and they're like, yep, your water's breaking. It hasn't broken, but it's breaking. And I was like, okay. And they're like, you can get admitted, and we can start Pitocin. And I was like, okay. So we got admitted, started Pitocin, and then I guess a few hours later, they're like, well, we'll break your water the rest of the way. And I was like, okay. And then a few hours after that, they're like, well, your doctor's leaving. There's only one doctor left, so whoever pushes first, there's 3 of us in labor at that time. And they're like, whoever starts pushing first gets the doctor. The rest of you get, like, a nurse practitioner or something. Mm-hmm. And I looked at my husband, and I'm like, I'm fucking pushing. He's like, you're not. And I was like, you better get the doctor, because the doctor's not even to the door yet. And I'm like, I'm pushing. And he's like, you're not. And I'm like, I'm getting the doctor. I'm pushing. And the doctor comes back, and he's like, yep, she's pushing. And I'm like,
that's what I said.
I was like, I want the doctor. I do not want a nurse. I don't want somebody who hasn't been on their own before.
Right.
And so the doctor didn't even believe me at first, because he's like, there's no way you went from like 8 to pushing. And I'm like, I'm
better
pushing.
check down there.
So, yep, him and my husband are sitting down there fucking checking, having conversations down at my crotch. And I'm like, excuse me, I'm up here, people. Like, can we at least not talk in my vagina? Like, but sure enough, I was pushing, and I got the doctor, and I was happy about that.
No, like, I mean, beyond the neglect of your husband, was it pretty trauma-free as much as births can be?
Well, for me it was. The epidural worked with my son. It did not with my daughter. So I had to be told when to push and everything. So, I mean, in total, it took 8 hours from start to finish to have my son. And the epidural worked. The worst was I wasn't supposed to eat, but again, my husband with the fucking Subway went down in the hospital and got Subway, and I thought he was going to eat it downstairs. He's so special sometimes. But no, he brings up his foot-long fucking sub and 3 cookies that I'm not supposed to eat, and he sits right there. And he's eating it. I'm like, I'm so hungry. So I snuck a cookie, and now I know why they tell you you're not supposed to eat during labor, because I threw up, and I got busted because the machine started going funky, and the nurse comes in and sees, and he's like, I thought that had happened. I was like, sorry.
I was hungry.
I thought you were going to say you shat yourself.
I was so hungry. No, gosh, I don't do that.
She doesn't scream, and she doesn't do that.
So there we go. I had very, like, my kids didn't come out, like, some of them come out all slimy and special looking. Mine came out nice and clean. I was like, thank God, because I was like, I don't want to be one of those people that, like, be like, don't put your baby on my chest, but, like, clean it off first. So thankhfully they came out clean and somewhat presentable looking. I was so trashy. I told you I was trashy.
Don't put the ectoplasm baby on my chest.
Like, I'm okay with bodily fluids and stuff, but you don't need to rub it on my chest.
Wrap it in a blanket first, please.
So they put him on my chest, and he was good. They actually took him he was a little blue when he came out, so they put him on me briefly, and then they took him, and then they almost killed him because they put him in that baby warmer, and above the baby warmer there's a light. Well, the genius put a clipboard on top of the light. Oh. And when someone went to move it, it fell and almost hit his head.
Oh my God.
And I'm trying to be like, I know shit happens, I know mistakes happen, so I'm trying not to lose my shit. But I told my husband, I'm like, that thing almost hit my baby, go get my baby. Like, and the doctor was in the room when it happened, and you know that poor kid got dressed down real well after. And I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna just breathe through this. So no traumatic experiences with him actually, him and I, our blood types attack each other, so Rh factor. So he had to go under Billy lights. So they had to tape his eyes shut and put him under a blue light because he was jaundiced. Mm. I just wanted to go home because I was sharing the room with the bitch from hell that scared me. But we couldn't. Then we got moved up to a special floor where at this point I had been like 2 or 3 days with no sleep. And
oh God.
Apparently and he had just been circumcised, poor thing, bless his heart. And I couldn't hold him because he has to be under these lights. So I apparently fell asleep, passed out, like patting him on the lights in the chair, and he was screaming bloody murder apparently. And a nurse came in and comforted him, and I was just passed out patting him. And that's pretty much how I spent 5 years, the first 5 years of his life. He didn't sleep. So he had like GI issues and colic baby. And reflux issues, and he would vomit blood. And
oh God, that's scary.
It was scary. So I spent, I think the first year of his life, he slept with me, and I had to sleep sitting up and have him on my chest and constantly patting him. And I would wake up and my hand would still be moving. And then eventually he was diagnosed with autism and ADHD, and he was 5 years old before he slept through the night. And
wow.
That pretty much summed up why we're never having kids too. Because after 5 years of not sleeping, you just...
How did your daughter deal with that?
So my daughter is...
Well, she's 2 years older than him?
They are 23 months apart. Okay. And she is his second mom because my husband was always gone. Right. So she always had to come with me to doctor's appointments and his therapies and stuff like that. So she did really well. Like I used to think she was born to be a mom, but now she's not allowed to have kids. So she was always super good, and I'm so thankful for her because I don't know how I would have done it alone some days because, every once in a while I managed to get like the flu or something, and I had no help. It was literally, when I say it was me and the kids, it was me and the kids. Yeah. And so she would help me with him as best she could and just make sure he had food or something if I was that sick. And she always looked out for him. Nobody was allowed to mess with him because he didn't talk until he was 5. And the one time I had to leave them I had to go to a doctor's appointment, and they offered childcare, and I had to leave him there with her, and I guess the workers there were threatening him because I've always taught my kids, you eat what you want. When you're done, you scrape your plate and put it in the garbage. Well, that's what he did. He ate, and when he was done, he scraped his plate and put the food in the garbage, put his plate where he thought it was supposed to go, and they didn't like the fact he threw out the food, so they told him next time he came there, they weren't feeding him, and he wasn't going to be allowed to play with their toys because he was a bad kid.
Oh my fucking God.
And I was like, I told Kiana, my daughter, I was like, get my phone. And I just phoned the place, and I ripped them a new one, and I didn't put him in any sort of care again until he was able to talk and stand up for himself, because I was like, you don't give my kids eating disorders, only I get to do that shit. Yeah. If someone's going to screw my kids up, it's going to be me.
Was this a daycare thing?
Yes, it was a military-run daycare, okay. I filed all sorts of complaints, and they never went back, but I was always thankful because she was always able to tell me what was going on, or have my back, help me. We spent entirely too much time in hospitals. Between her and him, one of them was always in the hospital. They were always sick. It was a lot.
Sounds like a lot, yeah.
It was a lot. I'm never having kids again.
How old was he when he got yelled at the daycare?
Oh, he was like 3 years
old.
Oh my,
you can't tell a dog a 3-year-old that fucking way.
No, you can. And
oh my God.
I mean, that's how you get people like food issues, right? And like making them sit there and clear their plate. Like, no, thank you. He can, when he's full, he can get up and walk away. Like,
I mean, he did what he was supposed to do under your rules. I mean,
and he played, and he was good. He just didn't eat all his food, and he got reamed out for it. Like, no, thank you. So then it pissed me off as a parent because you think you're leaving your kid somewhere safe, and no. So I put off medical care for a long time because I was like,
for yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For myself, because, you know, as a mother or as a parent, you sacrifice for your kids, and I was not leaving them alone again. And so I had to wait for my husband to come back to do doctor's appointments and stuff like that. But it was worth it because no one bullies my kids.
That's right.
Except
That's
for
awesome.
me.
Except for you?
Except for
Except for
me.
you.
So did you guys move every 3 years? Is that how the Navy works? I'm an Army brat, so that was us, every 3 years.
It was supposed to. We actually spent the first 10 years of our lives in Washington State. We didn't have to move.
Oh, wow.
Just because he has submarines in a very specific type, there's only certain locations.
Gotcha, that makes sense.
And then finally I was like, we need to get out of here. And he was going for shore duty, and he said Hawaii was on the list of options. And I was like, yep, let's go.
Heck yeah.
So we spent 3 years in Hawaii, and
Nice.
then I was like, I can't go back to Washington State after living in the sun. And
Right.
I was like, I can't do it. So then we went to Virginia for a couple months, and then down to Georgia. Then after living in Georgia with the heat and humidity, I was like, I can go back to Washington. And then we went back to Washington. I was like, I can't go back. Nope. And I was like, it's gray and gloomy and cold and just wet all the time. So as soon as he was done that, we're like, we'll go somewhere else. And then we were kind of waiting to see what happened with the kids in school, but COVID hit, and my son was only going to be 16 when he graduated, so we had to find a place where everyone could go to school, get jobs, and be happy and be warmer, and we landed in Huntsville.
So did he retire?
Yes,
Okay.
he's retired. He's been retired for, this will be his 3rd year now.
And why Huntsville?
So we looked at places my husband could get a job first and foremost, because military, so there was an Army presence here. Then we looked for places that the kids could go to school. And my son got a full scholarship offer to UAH, and my daughter could get into the same school and use my husband's GI Bill, so that meant 2 kids in college for free. No college debt. Well, it's not really, we still have to pay books, but no college debt, and everybody could live here and get jobs. And it just seemed, back when we were choosing it blindly, it seemed like this was small townish and something we were looking for. And then we got here and discovered it was not a small fucking town.
Well, it's a little big city.
It's a little big city. It's
Yeah,
growing.
that's how I say
I
it.
was about to say, if you move from like Dallas like I did, it's a fucking tiny ass little city.
No. So when we lived in Georgia, there was like one strip, and that's where everything was off of. Like,
It's Ardmore.
small. Washington State, we had like 3 lanes on the freeway, but it was never, there was no traffic. Here it was like, the first time I drove here, I was like on the Memorial Parkway, and I kept getting on and off. I'm like, what the fuck is this place? Like, oh my God. And I finally figured out that you shouldn't be in that lane. But we were going like 70 miles an hour on and off,
Off the access road?
And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
That's funny. So did you say your son graduated at 16?
Yes.
Wow.
He graduated at 16. He got accepted into college actually at a very young age. He took his first SAT, ACT when he was like 11 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And he'll shit on me for saying almost aced it. Almost aced it. Sorry, son. But he was like 50 points off from getting a perfect score.
Oh, damn.
And he doesn't think that's almost acing it. But.
It is.
So he went through
It's
like...
acing it in my opinion. Shit.
I looked at the questions and walked away. I was like, nope, not today, Satan. Like,
Yes,
no.
right.
So he went into like did John Hopkins summer programs and stuff like that. And he was going to go to college at 13, but then decided he wanted the high school experience. And I'm glad he did, because he definitely, the older he gets, he's beyond gifted educationally, but the older he gets, the more it's apparent, like, you know, life skills are a little behind. Mm-hmm. So he needed that time to grow up, and he did actually really well in high school. Like, he was valedictorian.
Wow.
He was one of the most
Did he
popular
graduate
kids.
from Alabama?
No,
school?
Washington State.
Oh, okay.
So he's got a plaque on the school drive because he came in first in the state championships for math and stuff like that. His school loved him. Everybody knew him, and it was really good for him. And both him and my daughter. So he skipped a grade. She started school a year later. So they both started 9th grade together, and they went through all high school together. And now they're going through UAH together. They'll both graduate at the same time. So we one graduation from high school. We'll have one graduation from college.
What are they majoring in?
So my daughter's majoring in sociology and psychology.
Okay.
She's welcome for the mommy issues.
So she's raking in the dollars.
The being a second mom issues, is that what it is?
I mean, she has diagnosed me with several conditions, all of which are probably correct, but fuck. I mean, nothing like being, diagnosed by your daughter, but that's okay. We have a very close relationship, so.
Well, that's good.
Very close, and she's perfect, and almost perfect. She's got a mouth on her, but I know where she got that from.
I was going to say.
Even the listeners will know where she got it from.
Oh my gosh, she took away my cunt card the other day, and I was like, so I have this thing where when I get sad, I need someone to be mean to me, because that shit will put a smile on my face, but if you're nice to me when I'm sad, I will cry. Aww. So she's always been like, you're a bitch, and I'm like, yes, I am. Well, the other day, she's like, I just want you to know, you're not the whore you think you are. And I'm like, what? I was like, who the hell are you talking to? She's like, you're not sad anymore, are you? I was like, no, I'm really proud of you right now. And she goes, I just want you to know you are not as big as a cunt as you think you are. And I'm like, you just crossed some serious lines. Like, fuck you. Fuck you. And I couldn't even talk to her. I was like, she's like, can I have my cunt card back? And she's like, no.
That's like, so funny.
So
how old are they now? They're 24 and 22.
No,
right?
22. My daughter 22. Will be 22
That's
in
right.
July, and Zachary will be 20 next week.
And when do they graduate?
Next summer.
Wow.
So, and Zachary will graduate with a math, economics, and computer science.
Okay.
Wow.
So at one point he was like double majoring and minoring, but he just dropped his computer science major down to a minor so he can take more math classes.
Wow.
This kid has so he's already taken the amount of graduate level classes he's allowed. He's been taking graduate level classes since his 6 months into his first year at UAH. Wow. And he's maxed out of what he's allowed. So he now convinces the schools to drop the coding on the classes to a $4.99 so that he can take them as an undergraduate. And I'm like, holy shit, you are a ballsy child. Because I would never have the balls to ask someone to drop a class for me. So is he
going to do his graduate degree?
Yeah, he's going to do his graduate degree here because I guess they offered him a TA thing. Yeah. So he'll get free masters, but he refuses to PhD here.
Is he going to go somewhere else for it?
Yeah. Okay. So he's compiling a list, and so far he's got New Jersey, New York, some friggin' cold places. I can't even talk to him right now because I'm like, can you stay south and warm? Or what are you looking at? And he's like, New York, Toronto. I'm like, well, what's there? MIT's down the road. Yeah, Georgia Tech's right over there. No, Mom, those are my safety schools. I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, okay.
He's smart enough to go to the best ones, it sounds like. From going from not talking until he's 5 years old to graduating high school at 16, that is unbelievably crazy.
He officially had enough credits to graduate UAH his first year there, but we convinced him that since he had a scholarship, take advantage of those 4 years, get all the classes you want to get out of it, really use your scholarship. Sure, you can graduate, but he needs a little more time. So it was this will buy you time. You need to, mature, grow up, learn about the world, and
have some fun at college. For God's sake, is he having fun at college?
No. He is. He's doing math and philosophy club. His idea of fun's way different than my idea of fun. So
he's not hooking up with sailors at the...
He is not.
At the McDonald's.
No matter how much I encourage that kind of behavior. I try and get this kid to drink, and he will not drink. Aww. I try. He used to... It's funny, because growing up, once he did learn how to talk, he was my dirty child. He would swear with me, he would tell dirty jokes. I taught him to grab mannequins' boobies when we were walking through the mall, and then I would blame my husband and be like, your dad, people would be looking at us and be like, your dad, I can't believe you. And I'd just walk away, and he would do all this, and then he hit like 7th grade, and all of a sudden he just went mature on me. And he's very black and white, abides by the rules. There's no breaking rules. So we went to Canada, drinking age is 19. He was 19, so he took a sip and had a glass of wine. And I was like, yes, no, let's go home and drink. No, drinking age is 21 in America. I'm like, but you're Canadian too, eh? Like, come to the dark side. It's fun over here. So he's very straight and narrow. So his idea of fun's definitely different than mine. He's enjoying it, but he overloads himself. Like, he took 7 classes, and 4 of them were math and 3 of them were computer science.
Wow.
And there was days we wouldn't see him at all because he'd be at school and then he'd come home and do his homework. So finally convinced him for this last year, his final year, to, lighten his course load up and do something fun so that he has some memories. And so he's starting to.
Well, good.
It sounds kind of like Jennifer's brother. He's like, her brother is a savant and didn't graduate early, but is very, very smart. And,
but if he doesn't like the class, he doesn't like the class. Yeah. So his GPA suffered because he didn't like that he had to do the same classes again that he took in high school, and so he didn't really care. It was the ones that he really cared about. So now he's at UAH doing what he wants to do, so I'm sure his GPA will grow with that. Right.
Were you did you go to were you able to go to college?
I didn't. No. Okay. See, that's what happens when you whore around at a young age. You get married and you stay home and raise your babies. That's what I did. And now
have you thought about it now that you're...
I do. I think about it now, but I don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Me neither.
And just like Jennifer. Apparently being a porn star doesn't require a college degree.
I wouldn't think it is. It would.
I was going to say, he's retired. Your husband's retired. Y'all can start an OnlyFans page. Sell your feet pictures.
But no one wants to see this anymore.
What? They like feet? You got pretty feet?
Yeah.
I don't show my feet.
Oh, well, never mind.
I mean, if someone tries to suck my toes or something, they're probably going to get hurt. I mean, I'm just putting that out there. If you want to suck my toes.
You say people don't want to see that, but people want to see big fat hairy gay men doing god awful gross things.
I mean,
so
I
someone wants to see a 6 foot tall, slender blonde lady
someone wants to
pegging her husband. So yes.
Or, someone rubbing their penis between my toes.
No, just a picture of your feet.
Just a plain old picture of
just a picture of your feet. Apparently, people like to buy or OnlyFans or just feet pics.
My feet have super tan lines. I'll show you just a little sneak peek.
There you go. They might like that. Might like that.
That's the premium content we're developing.
Yeah. That'll be our Patreon.
My foot out just enough so you can see the tan.
Yeah.
Which part of her toe is white?
Ooh.
So your husband retired. Yep. Your kids are just about to move out of the house. What do you do?
They're not allowed to move out of the house.
Okay. So when they do move out and you...
He thinks he is.
Well, I mean, he has to be able to go to New York or New Jersey.
It sounds like you don't have a choice on this.
Yeah. Well, I probably don't, but I'm hoping
and what happens
he stays
when Kana finally gets seduced by some heartthrob in a Marine's uniform?
Here's the best part about Kana. She is asexual. I fucked her up just right. So she has no desire to date. She doesn't find people attractive. She thinks they're pretty or they're good looking, but she doesn't have any desire to date or be involved with anybody. And she currently says she's fine staying home with her mommy forever. And I am
You did fuck her up just right,
I fucked her up just right. So I'm hoping she sticks with that, and that's just not something you grow out of. She claims it's not. I hope it's not. Because she's going to save herself a lot of trouble and heartache by...
That's true.
I mean...
When Kalia told us that she was lesbian at 8, I was like, thank God I don't have to worry about pregnancy.
I had never heard of asexual before, so I'm like, what is this? And she's like, Mom, I'm ace. And I'm like, okay, is this a card game? Like, what the fuck? And she starts explaining all of it to me, and I'm like, hold on, what? And so I'm asking her what all the letters mean because... back in my day, it was just LGBT. Mm-hmm. And so she's explaining the Q, the T, the A, the pan. And I'm like, the what? And she's like, pan. And I'm like, what is that? And she goes, you'll just basically have sex with anybody and everybody. I'm like, can I be that? And she's like, no, Mom, you don't get to be what you want to be. You're born how you're born. And I'm like,
Well, you kind of were. You were hoeing around.
I know. I was like, can't I decide I want to be a lesbian? She's like, well, you can, but you're not. And I'm like, well, you're just taking all the fun out of all this. So whenever I have a question about a new letter or what something means, I have to ask her, and then she'll tell me. And if we don't know, I used to have her Google things for me. But the poor girl's a little traumatized from that, because at a ripe young age of 10, we were playing Cards Against Humanity. Mm-hmm. And smegma came up on one of the cards.
Oh, no.
All right, Mother, if you are listening to this...
Close your ears, Mommy.
Skip forward about 30 seconds while Tara explains what smegma is. Go ahead, Tara.
So I had no clue what smegma was, so I have Kiana look up at our iPad, and she slams this thing down, and I'm like, what is it? And she's like, nothing. And I'm like, give me your iPad right now. And I look, and there's this penis with all this white crusty stuff on it. And I'm like, I look at her and I go, well, Kiana, that's what a boy's penis looks like, and I can tell you that it should not look like that. So then I read the write-up and discover that smegma is just hygiene issue, buildup of stuff, and it usually happens in uncircumcised men. Mm-hmm. So, pull it back, wash it, folks, do whatever you need to do. But that's how my daughter learned what a penis was, and that's how I learned I have to Google shit myself.
Yeah.
There you go.
And smegma is great.
All right, so Mom, if you're still listening, we're done talking about that god-awful subject. You can tune back in.
Sorry, Mom.
My mom will...
you can spank me later.
No, she's too old. She'll,
I like them old.
I go over there sometimes, and she's like, y'all cuss a lot. I'm like, what is the point of the podcast, Mom?
Sorry, Mom.
That's just Jennifer's dirty mouth.
I will go home and wash my mouth out with soap.
I'm a very... sailor. I love to cuss. So
she likes to cuss. I like to be disgusting.
Yeah.
So that's my daughter and I. We are very open, and we will say things, and I'm sure people look at us and think we're crazy, but we'll go back and forth. That's why we call ourselves the mother-daughter duo. In fact, our first time at Shenanigans, y'all need to go check out Perv Bingo. We went to Perv Bingo, and my ticket got drawn to pull up on stage, and it was the condom on a banana. And my daughter, since she's asexual, has no experience in this department. And I'm like, well, I guess we're going to learn on stage how to put a condom on. And you're not allowed to use your hands. So you can use one hand, and the other one you can't. So we were using my teeth to open the condom packet. Well, they had accidentally put a lubricant packet instead of a condom packet. So here I am on stage in front of everybody trying to teach my daughter how to put on a condom and a mouthful of lube. And I'm like, at this moment, do I spit or do I swallow? I'm like, there's a room full of people. What do I do? And I'm like, okay, fuck, a lady can't spit in front of a room full of people. So I swallow, and I'm like, look at my daughter. I'm like, and that's how you fucking swallow when there's an audience watching.
That's how you be a bad boss, bitch.
And so she's like looking at me. I'm like, girl, you had to learn how to swallow somewhere.
Lord.
And, I mean, the whole room's there, and I'm just like, okay, don't die, don't die.
Oh, it's edible. It's fine.
It was fine. I didn't get sick. I swallowed. I was tough.
You're a big girl.
I was a big girl.
You had your big girl panties on.
And my daughter got a valuable lesson. She put the condom on upside, so it didn't roll properly. So I was like, take it off, put it on the other way. Now you know. And she's like, I don't need this life skill. And I'm like, I was like, well, I didn't have that life skill, and that's why you're here. So learn it. I wanted her. She should have been there months and months and months and months before.
So how's your husband's relationship with the kids?
So my husband's more of a prude. So
which amazes me, because you are definitely not. I adore you because you are just as disgusting as I am.
Yeah, no, my husband is a prude. He will not talk like this. He does not swear. In fact, if he swears, to duck and cover. I think I've heard him swear a couple times in our marriage. So he's definitely more prim and proper. And so is my son now, and my daughter and I are trashy. So if you see my daughter and I out together, we are trashy. We have a good time. We will say things. If the boys are with us, we're a little more behaved because
they get all upset.
Well, he'll laugh about it. My husband will laugh about it. My son's starting to laugh about it before, but like a year ago, he would have talked to me about my behavior, and I had to say to him one time, I was like, please don't correct me. I was like, how I behave is how I behave. Yeah. I don't judge you. And if you're embarrassed by your mother, that's cool.
We're supposed to be.
You're supposed to be, exactly. But I'm like, I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to have a good time. Thank you very much.
So is your husband autistic too, do you think, maybe?
I would think.
Okay.
So I didn't think so until the older we get, the more I kind of see things in him. Like he's more like my son and more socially kind of withdrawn and stuff like that. And I asked him recently if he feels that way, and he said looking back at his childhood and stuff, it makes sense. And I was like, we definitely should have had genetic testing done before we made babies, because we fucked our kids up good. We gave them all like everything we shouldn't have given them. We done blessed them with.
I was about to say, does your poor daughter have all the autoimmune disorders that you have been blessed with?
Not yet, but
I mean, both your kids are in college. You did a wonderful job.
We messed them up just right.
You can't. I mean, it doesn't matter. I think with the genetics part of it, they're both doing really well.
They're doing as well as
they're
they
doing
can do
what they do.
Coming from two, like, I'm like, this is not meant as a disparagement of
me
foster kids.
No.
But the trauma and the level of fucked upness that you'd see in foster families, not foster, just the kids.
Yes.
Like my best friend from Texas, he was whining and complaining because his nephew didn't get into, only got into Texas A&M, which was like the second best, or like it's right up there. It's like one or two of the best schools in Texas. Yeah. And he was like, oh, he could have gotten Harvard if he wanted to. I was like, baby, my son ain't gonna graduate high school. I was like, just be happy with what you got. Stop. Right. So, like, I think what you did and what y'all produced was amazing.
Well, that's what we're really proud of our kids, because they are actually the first kids in our family who have graduated high school and gone right into college. Like, my husband has a college degree, but he went back way later in life. So they're actually the first kids. They're breaking all our generational traumas. They're, not carrying on. So I was raised to be barefoot and pregnant kind of thing, that a woman's worth was only to have babies and serve her man. Well, I'm finally learning that's not true. But I always raised my daughter, and I said, you will not get married. You will not have babies. You will go to school. You will get an education, and you will take care of yourself first and foremost. So you are dependent on nobody in this world but yourself and your mom.
Well, of course.
So, and I always said that, and I always taught them that the most important thing they can do is be able to fend for themselves in this world, or at least have each other's back. So they're the first kids who haven't gotten married and pregnant right out of high school, who haven't gone down the junkie trail. We also come from a long line of distinguished drug addicts and alcoholics.
Both sides, or just
both sides? Both sides. Trashy. My father-in-law actually deposited cocaine into an ATM machine. You know what happens when you do that?
No.
SWAT team shows up at your
house.
Let's
say you lose your cocaine is what happens.
Well, he lost his cocaine, but 2 days after we had left his house, the SWAT team showed up and flipped his house and went through his house, and he went to jail. And I was like, oh my God, my kids could have been there.
Was he high when he did?
Oh, yeah, he was.
Okay.
Yeah. And how recently was this?
Oh, gosh. Probably 10 years ago now.
Oh, okay.
But the kids were little things. They don't even remember. But it's like, that's the kind of like family we come from. Gotcha. So they're breaking that cycle. They don't drink. Canada will drink with me, but one shot will get her chunk, and I love it.
Whereas you can down a fifth and be fine.
Not anymore, but back in my glory days. Oh, yeah.
Well, you said on a cruise, or you said you went somewhere and you could drink a lot and didn't feel anything.
Yeah, I went on my cruise with my daughter, and I drank all day long and did not feel anything. But the last couple months, every time I figured out I can't drink wine anymore, because 1 glass of wine equals trashy, 2 glasses equals passed out. So if you ever want to take advantage of me, 2 drinks. Wine.
Oh, I'll remember that.
Remember that for next show. But even I went out last night and had 1 margarita and was like, I got to go home. I can't drink anymore. I was like, what is going on with me? It was tequila. Tequila always makes my clothes fall off. I don't think about my alcohol choices.
I was going to say maybe the sugar, because you're having histamine reactions.
That's what I was wondering after, if it was not the alcohol, but the sugar and stuff in it. So,
or the sweet and sour mix, or any of the sugar that they put in there. So
I was like, I'm going to give up drinking. And then I woke up this morning and I was like, who makes irrational decisions like that?
You only live once, whatever.
I mean, this is my adult coping skills here. We're not taking those away. So we're just going to drink responsibly from now on.
There you go.
And remember,
drink hard liquor straight.
Yeah, right. So they don't drink, they don't party, they don't smoke, they've never done anything bad in their life. And I hate them for that. I love them. But, like, I had all this great parenting. Like, the first time my daughter snuck out, I had plans just to be there sitting on her bed when she crawled back in the window. And I wasn't going to say anything, just the fact of your mother sitting there in the dark is supposed to be scary enough, right? Mm-hmm. She never did any of that. And I'm still, she's almost 22, I'm still trying to convince her to sneak out of the house. And she's like, I'm an adult, it's not sneaking out. And I'm like, it is if you climb out the window. Like, you can do it.
That is hitting a little too close to home with Jennifer.
It's okay. No, it's okay.
I used to sneak out all the time.
Well, no, the thing is I think you did like a European. You're kind of like a European mom,
right?
Because it's not as taboo over there. The drinking, the smoking, they make it so that way you don't go and hide and run out to do the bad things.
That was my parenting style, because anything my mom ever told me not to do, I did. So when I had my kids, I was like, I'm going to be very open with them, and I'm going to encourage them to do all the bad things I did so that they get it out of their system when they're a kid and it doesn't affect them, so they're not doing it at 21 years old and ruining their lives.
Right.
So I always was like with them, if you want to drink, I will come get you. I will not embarrass you. If you want to do drugs, please, all I ask is you do it safely and you do not get in the car with anybody who's been drinking or doing drugs.
Right.
And
you telling them that was like, well, shit. Yeah. She knows I'm going to do it.
And I was always open with them about sex, age appropriately-ish. I mean,
well, except for the smegma.
Well, the smegma thing, that was a little, but like they asked how babies were made. The first time I told them it was the Big Mac sauce at McDonald's, so they don't eat Big Macs.
I tell Wesley that, so he stops asking for McDonald's all the time.
And then I tried to do the serious. Oh my God, the first time when I got really ballsy, because I joke about everything, death, everything's a joke. And then I was like, when my daughter really wanted to know, I was like, okay, I'm going to tell her, I'm just going to be serious. I'm going to have this talk. And I started off with when two people love each other, And then I was like, no, I have to use the male and female because she wants to know how babies are made. So I'm going to say when a man and a woman love each other. And when I open my mouth, it comes out when two men and a woman love each other. And my husband goes, Tera. And no one calls me Tera, really. Like,
what do they call you?
They just call Mom,
okay.
Han, babe. Like, so I heard my name and I was like, what? I'm like, why are you calling me Tera? And he's like, what did you just say to our daughter? And I'm like, when two men and a woman love each other. And he goes, really? And she's looking at me and I'm like, what's wrong with what I said? Because I'm so in my head about being serious and using the correct terms. And he goes, do you want her to be a hoe? And I'm like, why? And he goes, when two men and a woman... Oh, I see what I did. I was like, Canna, can you go to your room now?
That's how you
I'll have to write this conversation out and have my husband proofread it before we have it.
So I was like, Canna, and after I had calmed down and, I was like, Canna, it only takes two people to make a baby and you do it however you want. Just know that it's usually a man and a woman, but, you can get a turkey baster and make a baby. And she goes, oh my God. I was like, some people go to the doctor, some people get strangers. They sell cups now with mini turkey basters and stuff. Go to CVS. I just saw this the other day. So I told her, because she used to think I was lying about the turkey baster method. And I saw it and I was like, Canna, look at that. And I was like, it's a turkey baster. And she's like, oh my God. So I was always very open with them and, encouraged them to do bad things. I mean, I tried for years to get Canna to swear. She wouldn't. The first time she swore, I was like, please stop. Like, this sounds so bad coming out of your mouth. It sounds so forced and unnatural. I was like, don't do it. Eventually, it rubbed off on her, and now she swears like a pro.
Yeah, I was about to say, if she's, pulling your cunt card, she's definitely not ashamed to cuss anymore.
She is not. She will set me in my place. She is not afraid.
I love it. I want to meet her.
Oh, she's fabulous. If you ever see
she is mini Tera, basically.
Yeah. She is, like, our banter, like, I'm sure it's disturbing to some people. You
two are adorable together. Every time we volunteer together, I'm just like, oh, they're so cute.
She is never buying me flowers again because I accused her of grooming me. She came home from work one night, and I happened to be behind the door waiting to perform a jump scare on her because I enjoy that kind of stuff. And I hear this crinkling, and I jump out and scare the shit out of her, and she goes to hit me with the flowers, and I'm like, oh, I feel really bad. Like, you bought me flowers, and she tried to take them away, and I was like, no, I'm sorry, and I'm apologizing for scaring her, and she gives me the flowers, and she's like, I just want you to know I love you, and I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. And the next day she comes home from work, and I'm holding the puppies, and I got one on my chest and one's on my lap, and she comes to pet them, and the one that was on my lap was basically covering my vagina, and it starts crawling up my stomach, and all of a sudden I feel a hand going up my thigh, and I'm like, what? And I look up, and there's this hand creeping up, and I'm like, and she realizes what she's doing. I'm like, did you just run your hand up my thigh? And she's like, I thought I was petting the puppy. And I was like, is that code for petting my vagina? And I was like, wait a minute. Is that what those flowers were for? Were you grooming me? And she's like, I am never buying you flowers again. I was like, I didn't say you had to stop. But I mean, I feel like I've been groomed here. So it's been several months, and I can't let go of the grooming incident. I've gotten no more flowers.
That's
but
funny.
if you ask her about it, she'll be like, I'm not buying that bitch flowers ever again.
Well, I probably wouldn't either if that was what, resulted from that.
And I asked her, I was like, if I have to get surgery, can I get flowers? And she's like, you should have thought about that before you opened your mouth. And I'm like, me? Open my mouth and think?
I'm not the one groping my mom.
That's what I said. I was like, you're the one who got
petting her puppy, quote unquote.
Quote unquote. When you were talking about cussing, I was talking to Kalia the other day about, I think I let a cuss word, like I just let a shit slip out or something like that. Or we were listening to music and there was a cuss word, and I was like, oh, sorry, we probably shouldn't have listened to that. She's like, you act like I don't hear it from my mom. My mom and dad, anytime I go down to Coleman, she's like, I hear it all the time. And Auntie Jay cusses like a sailor.
Yeah. No.
Well, I mean, when I first got Wesley, I was like, I'm not going to cuss. It was really, really fucking hard. And I was like, when he turned 10, 11, I was like, you know what, fuck this. I can't do this no more. It's too hard.
I was about to say, now you just cuss them out regularly.
Well, and it's just, if I don't, it hurts me in a way because I'm not speaking my truth.
Yes.
In a way. So I'm like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to cuss. And so they hear it from me, and like you said, Kalia's like, yeah, Auntie Jay cusses all the time. So. Yeah.
And that's what I always told my kids. I swear, I don't expect them not to swear because if it's flying out of my mouth, it might as well fly out of theirs. But I always told them, you don't swear at people and you don't swear at school. And as long as you're good, we're good, and swear appropriately. And so...
Yeah, I've had that kind of conversation with Kalia too. I was like, I know you're swearing with your friends.
Yes.
I'm like, no judgment. It's to be expected. I was like, I don't want you swearing around your grandmothers ever. Or even using like kind of like damn or pissed,
or
that
hell.
Kind of stuff. Yeah, don't use that.
Yeah.
Like, let's not offend the old ladies. I'm like, I will get, eventually when you get older, I'll let you swear around me, but we're not there yet. It's like, it's a more an adult thing, so you'll get there, but not there yet.
Nope, they could always swear as long as it was appropriate and they weren't swearing at me or at somebody. And then my daughter one time was like, someone was bullying her friends at school, and she's like, am I allowed to swear at them? And I was like, oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, if you're standing up for someone, by all means, whatever flies out of your mouth. And she's like, what if she hits me? And I'm like, do whatever you need to do. And she's like, what if I get suspended? And I'm like, then we'll go to Disneyland to celebrate, but I'm going to act mad. I'm going to be real pissed when I come to school. No, it's just a show. And then she's like, okay, but I'll let them throw the first punch. And I'm like, why? And she's like, everything after that, self-defense. I'm like, ooh, girl.
Yeah.
I was like, someone raised you right.
That's right.
So that's my line. I'm always like, go ahead, throw the first punch. Everything after that, self-defense.
That's right.
That's right.
If you get caught with the first punch, that's the thing I tell Wesley is that, they did it first. I'm like, but usually the person who does it second is the one that gets caught.
Yep.
And then they don't see the first one, so the second one is always the one that gets in trouble.
Just make sure you do it in front of a camera.
Right.
There you go.
Well, that's what I said. I was like, whatever. And she's like, well, if I get in trouble, I'm like, we will celebrate. I was like, I don't care if you're standing up for yourself or you're standing up for someone being bullied. I will never give you trouble for it. I may act like it because, I don't want the school to think I'm a super trashy parent. But
Just
we're going to
trashy,
Disneyland and little trashy, yes, super trashy. Like, but we were definitely, and I was waiting. I was like ready to go to Disneyland. Every time the phone rang, I was like, come on, let's. And
didn't happen.
Didn't happen. She set the bully in her place only by using her words.
It sounds like she's really good at using her words.
Yeah. She is. She's very good at standing up for people. And she has no problem telling people things. And I don't know. She's way better than I am.
Well, it sounds like you did a great job at being a parent. You can give us lessons on.
I definitely.
I got lucky. I don't know, because my mom was always like, I hope your kids turn out just like you. And I'm like, oh, they're nothing like me at all.
Were you considered a bad kid? Well, because your mom is strict, though, right?
Oh, my mom was abusive, straight up abusive. Okay. And so, you don't know this stuff when you're a kid, but I was obviously rebelling against her. And so, like, anything she said not to do, I was doing. And we were always sneaking out and doing, bad shit, because when you have a shitty home life, you act out. So I just didn't care and was doing whatever I wanted to do. And I just wanted my kids to not have to deal with that. So they're allowed to swear near grandma. So they're definitely
piss her off.
In fact, so my mom was actually a homophobe.
Oh.
And so I used to be like, try and beg Ken. I was like, could you please be gay? Just please.
Well, she's part of the alphabet.
Well, she is now, but Granny doesn't count that as being gay, because you're not.
You should just tell your mom that you and your husband are swingers, and
she would
got
probably
the pineapple
support
on the
that.
door on the cruise.
Well, she would support that. It's being gay, so I always wanted Canada to be gay.
Tell her that you're bisexual, and then
I'd tell her I have gay friends, and so I'm not allowed to bring gay friends home. But don't worry, because I don't talk to her anymore, because I just had enough of that. But I was like, what are you gonna do if Ken or Zachary turn out gay? And she's like, they can come in my house, but their partner can't. And I'm like, oh, bitch, please. I was like, make my day. Like, go ahead. So I was always looking for a reason to tell her, off and where to go.
Yeah.
But Canada didn't turn out gay as much as I tried to force her to be. And Zachary, I guess the potential's there. He could go either way. Neither of them have dated or showed interest in anybody, so I'm like, whatever. But
well, maybe Zachary will meet a girl at McDonald's when he's 20.
One can hope. I mean, one can hope. Well, he went on a cruise with my husband, and he got sucked into those art auctions.
Oh, I thought you were going to go somewhere else with
that. You started off with sucked in, and then it was like,
I was like, whoa, where are we going with this one?
But he did phone me, and he's like, well, the art auction guy's really hot. And I was like, oh. I was like, can you sneak a picture of him so I can see what you think is hot? He never did.
Oh.
But I was like, I was like, is this mommy thinking too hard and hoping her life goals of making one of her kids gay come true? But as my daughter tells me, I cannot make people gay.
You cannot make people gay. They're born that way.
That's what she says. And I'm just like, well, I've ruined my life, your life, everything.
But you might have made him that way.
Yeah, I would hope. I would hope.
That when he was born, he was gay. He just hasn't figured it out yet.
He hasn't showed any interest one way or another in boys or girls. So I'm like, hey, the door's open, and I always ask him, meet any hot guys? And he's like, no, not today. I'm like, girls? Because he was talking to a girl for a while, but he was tutoring her in math. Boring. And so I was like, tell me about her. And he's like, she's just a friend. And I'm like, can I know anything about her then? She's just a friend. I'm like, okay, you suck.
No, Mom.
And it's like, I have a lot of great stories to share with anybody you guys bring home, so go ahead. I was about to say,
just share the podcast with them.
There you go.
Traumatic childhood. Well, in their yearbook when they graduated, you were allowed to take a page out and write messages to them. I'm like, don't forget to thank me for the years you're going to spend in therapy.
Oh, Sarah, you're a mess.
I was like, I hope it was worth it, because we've had fun. I mean, I got very lucky. My kids are nothing like me. I don't know why they're nothing like me.
You say they're nothing like you, but your daughter.
Okay, well,
your daughter is a fucking twin.
Now she is, but like they never did the bad stuff I did, and
well, they
didn't have to.
True, they didn't. They were encouraged.
Permissive mother.
Yeah,
no, they were.
You gave them way too much leeway, and you talked to them about it, so they were just like, I don't need to do this because Mama will just drive me to the party if I want to go to a party. You know,
Mom will provide the blow.
Right. So,
well, okay, so Mommy wouldn't, just because Mommy.
No, the grandpa.
Mommy doesn't want to go to jail, but she'll drop you off at Grandpa's house.
Yeah. Just make sure he doesn't go to the ATM.
You guys can go hit up Grandpa for that fun stuff. I know where to take you now.
That's fun.
I mean, I would support it if they wanted to go to So my son, at one point, his life goal was to turn 19 and go to a strip club with me. And because you go to strip clubs at 19 in Canada, and you can drink alcohol, and they get fully naked, but you can't touch them. This was all shocking to me when I moved to America, because my husband took me to a strip club, but because the girls got fully naked and did lap dances, you could only get soda. And I'm like, who goes to strip clubs and drinks soda? Like, you're ruining the experience for me. So I was telling my son all about it, Canadian strip clubs, and how that's a rite of passage. When you're 19, all of us girls got together and went to the strip club. And he's like, you can take me. And I'm like, oh, you're going to change your mind one day. And he's like, no, you're going to take me when we're 19. We're going to Canada and strip clubs. Well, I reminded him of that at 16, and he's like, yeah, we're not going to strip clubs together. I was like, yeah, we are. He's like, no.
You know what we're going to do, Miss Tara?
Yes.
You, me, and your son, we're going to go to Swinging Richards in Atlanta, and we're going to go see a male strip club.
Oh, yeah.
See some baseball bats swinging around.
We need to watch some of that, because I haven't seen a fully naked male stripper yet. So we always went to ladies.
There you go.
Or they had the Chippendale dancers, but those don't.
It's just shirtless.
I know, they don't do anything. I mean, you see them
the
naked in
Swinging
their
Richards dancer's not that great, but at least you could just see some.
Yeah.
Swinging.
I mean,
Swinging.
we got to see them naked afterwards, but not on the show, because they kept, told you, ho.
Atta girl.
So thank you. Used to work at a hotel too, so that didn't help.
Well, I think this is probably a good transition spot. So, because we're already at hour 10.
Oh, Miss Tara.
Miss Tara,
we are just enjoying your conversation
and
so
I'm sorry
much.
for cutting you off. I was just like,
That's
we
okay.
usually shoot for about an hour. So
I usually make them come long term, so
I bet you do.
just keep going and
All
going.
right.
For the Energizer Bunny team.
There you go. So we had the New York Sour for our cocktail, and then you're going to introduce what we were eating while we were talking.
So we were, our snack time was a bloomin' onion. We were trying to figure out what to, Jennifer was over yesterday, and she's like, what are we having? And I was like, I had thought about getting hush puppies or something, but I couldn't find any, so I found a recipe on TikTok for a bloomin' onion. You can just put it down, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt him. What Tara is moving away her bloomin' onion from the cat, because he decided to come in and get lovin's from Tara and Jennifer at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Tara and I both thought the onion itself was a little bland. The sauce
Still
is
edible.
not. Yeah, the sauce is pretty good, I thought.
Yeah.
What'd you think? The sauce okay? Did you
Yes,
try
it was good. I liked it. I just
liked
don't want Kitty to get diarrhea all over your house.
Yeah, we usually lock them both away because he especially, Milo, is the little hooligan.
But he just came out
He's a
the
food
last
whore.
couple minutes.
Yeah,
so
he was up inside the couch, I think.
He knows that the podcast is almost over, I think.
Just like it's food time, feed me. I understand, Kitty.
All right, so we've had our cocktail, we've had our snack time. Now it's story time, Miss Tara. Do you have a funny or embarrassing story about your kids?
Oh, of course. I have so many. So this one is about my son in 6th grade. I forget how old you are, but he was young. And yeah. So he comes out of school one day, and this was back when I drove a minivan, because, you're not cool until you drive a minivan. And he flings open the door, and there's all the kids, everybody's out front, and he goes, Mom, I got my first pubic hair today. And I'm like, what? I was like, well, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, I got my first pubic hair. And I'm like, where? And I'm speechless, because I'm trying to be a cool parent and not die of embarrassment. And I'm like, oh, you mean on your armpit? And he goes, no, I said pubic hair. And I'm like, I was like,
he's like, I know what pubic is, Mom.
I was like, well, yeah, I just didn't know if you thought armpit hair was pubic hair. And he goes, no, Mom, I got a pubic hair on my penis, just above my penis. And the door's open, everyone's looking, and I'm like, okay. I was like, that's great. Do you want to shut the door? And he's like, no. And I'm like, well, you might want to, turn your voice down a bit, because everyone can hear. He's like, it's a pubic hair. Everybody gets them. And I'm like, okay. I was like, that's cool. I was like, how do you feel about it? And he's like, I don't know, but I got my first pubic hair. And I'm like, this is great. And I'm dying, and I'm trying to roll up my window, and I'm like,
I would have shat myself laughing.
I was trying not to, because I was trying not to give him any body issues. And then my daughter comes in, and she's like, what are you guys talking about? And Zachary goes, I got my first pubic hair today. I'm like, Canna, shut the fucking door now. Because everyone's looking at us.
And he didn't seem to care. He was not embarrassed in any way.
Giving that baby boy body issues.
The whole line's looking at us, and I'm trying to keep it straight, and I feel myself going red, and I'm trying to be really calm and cool. And she just got in the car and said, just shut the fucking door, just do it. And so we shut the door, we drive away, and I'm like, sorry, I was just really hot. And Canda's looking at me like, you liar. And I'm like, and so she asked, and I'm like, Zachary got his first pubic hair today. And she goes, oh, really? Where? And I'm like,
in his armpit, dear. In
his armpit.
And the kid, like, he must have thought we were the stupidest people ever. But, we were trying not to make a big deal, but when you're trying not to be embarrassed and
it makes it worse the more you talk about it. Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're asking where pubic hairs grow, and it's like, well, so
on my dick, funny. Mom.
I was just like
right above my penis.
Oh my god. Did Wesley do that with you? I remember he made a big deal of his underarm hair.
And his underarm, yes.
Well, that's what I really thought he messed it too up. I was like, bless your heart. I thought you were dumb and just didn't know the difference.
And you said he was 12?
Well, he was 6th grade, so
I think it's 12, 13,
I think
somewhere around
12,
there.
Kalia has developed so early, and I'm like, Kalia, I'm not going to discuss too much about your pubic hair, but she was like 2nd or 3rd.
Well, Kiana never told me, and I don't ask because I feel like your body, you tell me. I will explain things to you as you ask, but I'm not going to put you on the spot. Mm-hmm. I know, like, my mom made it, like, a huge thing. She gathered all of us, like, 5 of us girls together, had friends on the phone, had other family friends. We all had to sit there through, like, the puberty talk and all that, and she wanted to know every step, and it was super uncomfortable and awkward experience for us all. So I was like, I'm not going to do that to my kids.
Right.
I will explain the birds, the bees, your periods, your
the 2 men and 1 woman.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have 3 people to make a baby.
There you go.
You gotta have the Eiffel Tower.
One of them needs to supervise and make sure you're doing it right.
Record it, maybe. For posterity.
Take pictures so you know the moment you became a rescue. Because that's what I tell my kids. I went on a rescue mission to get them, and I saved them from their dad's dark and danky place, and asked for thank you cards, and I never get them. But, I just tried to be so open with them, and sometimes it just caught me off guard and embarrassed me, and then I didn't know how to get out of it.
Now you're paying them back.
And now I'm like, now I get to share all your fun stories and all my great parenting stuff, so you're welcome.
All right, Miss Tara, you will have to come back for season 5 or 6. This was a blast.
There's several seasons.
Oh, yes. All right. Well, thank you to all our 4 listeners, or 12 listeners now. 12,
hi, Benjamin.
4. Sorry. Hi, Benjamin.
You're probably down to 10 after my mouth.
No, my poor mother will drop, but that's about it.
Sorry, Mom.
But thanks for listening to another episode of A Guide to Poor Parenting. If you have any funny stories about your kids,
or if you need some bad parenting advice or have any ideas for topics,
please email us at guidetopoorparenting@gmail.com.
If you like our podcast, please give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're listening on.
And if you don't like our podcast, just like when our kids ask why they can't have pizza 7 days in a row.
Tough shit.
God damn it, get off this cruise ship and go do something. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you,
Thanks,
Tara.